Why does capitalism require slavery? By this we mean, why does it require what might be called indentured service? Meaning, of course, volunteering. Volunteering is not necessarily or by some inherent reason wrong or evil or sinful. Volunteering is on the basis of it, the face of it, a good. A person that volunteers their time is doing a good deed. But that's only within the context of them doing the act that they do. Their intention is good and the outcome is good within the context of the act itself. But in the broader frame of reference, which is capitalism, it's not irrational, it's not coherent, it's not justified by the system or within the system. And this is what people fail to realize, is that it may be good to do good, and it is good to do good, but if you're in a system in which the idea is to create supply and demand, and in which the system works on supply and demand, circumventing that system, good or not, it's not coherent. It's a contradiction of principles in a way, because if it's good to work, be paid, to try and get ahead, to create demand, to seek profit, to be concerned with your own welfare first, and if this focus on self-benefit, selfishness, being selfish in other words, is such a good thing, if good comes out of it, then why are people being selfless? It's irrational. System-wise. It's a total invalidation of the system. It's an indictment against the ideas of capitalism and the market. I hesitate to say a free market because we don't have a free market, but it's an indictment against the principles and the ideology of capitalism. If it's a good thing that people strive and make to get money, to use their labor as a way of acquiring money, and then so that they can take this money and create demand in the economy, then how is it good if a vast percentage of people give away their labor for nothing? Good is being created, but demand is not being created. In fact, demand is being destroyed, because if you work for, if several hundred people work at a hospital for nothing, the hospital is creating a subsidized good. What's more, it's creating an artificially high demand for services, for the hospital services. It's like the food banks getting them food free, giving it away free. Well, by the assumptions made about supply and demand in the market, what they're creating is a demand for free food. But there's no regulating of this, other than the inability or the ultimate refusal of people to provide free food, or the refusal of people to provide free services to distribute this food. So it's a complete invalidation of the ideas of capitalism. Well, why, if capitalism works, why do we need to invalidate it by forcing people to work for nothing? This is it's an inconsistency here. It doesn't compute. If capitalism works and the idea is to pay everyone regardless, why are even housewives working without getting paid if what they do is creating value? Is there no demand for the services of a housewife? If they take their work and skill and transfer it over into another location, another house, they get paid, but they're not paid within the home. This may seem an odd thing to bring up, but if we're going to talk about volunteering, then a housewife doing housework is basically a volunteer within the context of the home. Again, we say, well, yeah, but the housewife wants to do this. Well, does she? Why are they leaving the home? Why are they going out and getting other jobs? Why do some get paid and others not? Simply because of the location of where they are working, i.e. in somebody else's home and not their own. And we can even get down to questioning why students are not paid as students are in creating wealth for the community, in gaining an education. Surely their value has gone up. They're creating greater value in themselves, in their ability to function for the community, so why aren't they getting paid? If all this seems strange, it's because of the system we're in. And it's only strange because we're not really looking at the inconsistencies of the system. The very fact that people work and don't get paid is an indictment against the system. It's a delegitimizing it, because if capitalism functions best by people working selfishly, concerned only with their own benefit, and in striving to do what is best only for themselves, the greater good is achieved, then people working as volunteer are undercutting the system. They're not working. What they're working as a volunteer does not help the system. It working as a volunteer doesn't help capitalism. It destroys its fundamental principles of selfishness, leading to the greater good. So we need to ask, why are there volunteers within capitalism? Not why are people being good, not why people are choosing to do what needs to be done out of the goodness of their heart and their realization the system fails in some regard, but why why is capitalism in need of slaves, whether volunteering or necessitated by a quid pro quo in which the student to volunteer to graduate must volunteer for 40 hours. This is being done supposedly to teach them the value of social work. But what the system is doing is teaching them that they must work as an indentured servant if they wish to graduate. And I guess it's teaching them more about power and subjection to the rule of the powerful and the failure that is capitalism, far more than it is teaching them how to be genuinely nice and generally desiring of doing good in the world. Because if you're doing good because you're forced to do good, because you quid pro quo must do A to get B, that's not really inculcating in people a desire and a love of doing good. So what it is again, it's an indictment against capitalism, and why capitalism needs slavery needs to be investigated individually so that we understand why this failure of capitalism. Why doesn't it function without indentured servants? Since its whole existence is predicated on market mechanisms of supply, demand. Work for money, get your money, go out, buy goods and services, create demand, increase supply. If you work for nothing, you're not creating a real demand. You're creating a false demand. It's when people work in a food bank for nothing, and the food banks get free food, they get free labor, so they're creating a false demand because of a free supply. Capitalism can't and is not supposed to work with free goods and services. The whole idea is that everything to have a market value, a price. Only when you pay the price does the market adjust the supply and the demand. But if you're not paying, and if you're not demanding payment, the market is dysfunctional. So we're saying capitalism works, but at the same time we've got this underground economy of slaves and freeness. And this isn't rational, and it's, as I say, it's an absolute indictment against capitalism. And if this is what it takes to make capitalism work, it doesn't work. By its own terms, it doesn't work.